areas like, say, I don't know, well, any of the ones that are waterfront communities, we can also help fund this type of project, actually. Depending on where it's located, depending on if the community is participating in the local waterfront revitalization program like Watkins Glen is. And also, I should say that I'm going to get into this a little bit. I was going to get into this a little bit later, but I will mention that there is a scoring mechanism for our program. It is statewide, it is competitive. But part of that scoring is there's a cache of 20 points that are reserved for the Regional Economic Development Council. So even within our grant program, the REDC will weigh in on all of our applications, and they'll be putting 0, 5, 15, or 20 points, which can push a project into funding or out of it. So we score things based on the way we read the applications, but then there's another 20 points that come in. So I may have somewhere in the range of between, say, 50 and 90 points that I might award to a project, but then there's that other amount, bonus points that can really change the nature of whether or not you get funding. So again, I would agree with Chris, work with the Regional Economic Development Council, even if it's not one of their priorities. I'm sure that you'll meet something within their strategies, or if you're not meeting it, then work with them to help them to see that this is an important thing for the region.
Yeah.
So either way, you still should work with them.
Yeah, well, Watkins Glen would be ideal because that comes with that brand for the international, potential tenants to utilize the facility, along with me being my own tenant. That's what makes it work. Pairing up with the university as a tenant, accessing startup New York. But yeah, who wouldn't want to get the water?
Well, and again, it doesn't have to be necessarily on the water, just in a waterfront community. That's
sure. So Watkins would, well,
right.
Just anywhere within Watkins.
I have a question based on the waterfront programs and the grants and stuff. In the town of Hector, we do have a park that runs right along the lake. It's probably over the years, it's never been built to the infrastructure that it could be for the community. We do provide camping for people, camping and stuff, but one of the issues we have is access to the lake itself, because some of our water systems is down there, so they can't drive a vehicle down where the older people used to drive down to our pavilions. Now we need to provide maybe access to another way of coming across, building some infrastructure across so we can drive a vehicle so that people could use that site for picnicking and stuff for local people. Would that be stuff that would be available through these waterfront grants? Because it's right on Seneca Lake and it's, it's a certain part of the waterfront.
Well, initially we can help you with looking at planning and feasibility for it, so we can give you a small grant for that. Actually, our grants are not really capped, so you can apply for whatever you need. Currently, we do have a 50%.
Just
a 50-50 match. Okay, so that would mean that you apply for, you get half of what you really need for the project. But our match is a soft match, so it can include volunteer services. It can include the time that's put in by a town clerk or village clerk or village planner or county planner or anyone who's assisting you with a project like that. Elected officials' time don't count, but volunteers do, and also paid people that are on municipal salaries can count. And of course cash, but there are also other types of matches too that we allow. We do not allow property acquisition as a match, but almost everything else we do. And I can work with you a little bit say is that this year we're trying to get 25-75%, so it wouldn't be a 50-50 match, and currently that's in the budget. We're waiting to see how that goes. We've tried numerous years, and but we'll just see how it goes this year. Maybe we'll end up at that. So there's also some restrictions on what kinds of costs are eligible for the program. So our administration is capped at 15% of the grant. So, you know, if you're using like a clerk or someone who's just actually doing the paperwork of the grant, that cost has to be limited to 15% of the project cost. So there are other different kinds of restrictions like that. Certain things that we can't pay for at all. Obviously, the state doesn't pay taxes. We can't buy wine and food and things like that. So there are certain costs that are ineligible, and actually many other different things are ineligible. But we do pay for supplies, equipment, contractual services, salaries and wages, and then the volunteers and things. So now will help you get started with planning. To take it to the next level, to do engineering and architecture and construction drawings, and to start purchasing things to put in the park, you need to be working on a waterfront plan with us. It can be almost any kind of waterfront plan to get started, and again, we pay for that planning up front with that first grant. So if you're clever, you can work in your planning along with your project. And then in the end, to actually build things, do any kind of construction, you need to have an approved LWRP. So you can, through the process, build up your plan. You also get technical assistance from us. Like I'm here today, but I can come out or work very closely over the phone and by email, sending things back and forth. But we help you write it and do other things with it. You have a consultant, we'll review their work and so forth.
So they have, Seneca Lake, we did an LWRP that was completed a year and a half ago. So all of Seneca Lake, which town factor was a part of that, if you remember.
If you're in the.
With probably one of my previous, probably the previous supervisor
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
one, so I'm not familiar with that.
So there was a plan that was completed with the regional councils from the north and the south, and all of Seneca Lake has an approved LWRP for the whole watershed wide for these communities. So it is accessible online on stcplanning.org website. I'll have to.
They're available on our website too.
Yeah. So there was an approved plan that I think was completed a year and a half to 2 years ago for all Seneca Lake.
Is Montour Falls also considered a waterfront community?
Yes, it is, but Chemung Canal is not a designated inland waterway. So you would not be eligible currently for our program, but it's possible to add the Chemung to the list of designated waterways. We update that list every year.
But Montour Falls has other, let's say, reasons why it might be considered a waterfront community.
Okay.
Captain Creek and also marshes from this lake border Montour Falls. I'm just wondering if it's already considered, or if
we have a little list here that there's coastal waterways and designated inland waterways. These are determined by the state legislature. We don't have anything to do with this list. But we can look on here and see Catherine Creek is not on the list. So you would work with your state legislators. They would put forth a bill to add it to the list, and it's added to the list. Every year we update this and we add more and more. This has mostly lakes and rivers, but there are some creeks on here as well. So that's really all that's needed. Some of our areas in like Long Island and Hudson River Valley, the communities are very aggressive, and they work with their legislators, and they get all this stuff listed, and they've been reaping benefits from this program for years. The southern tier and central New York, not so much. And this is one of the reasons why I came here to talk with you folks today, is that to sort of build support and to get more participation in the program from this region. But I think you'll see that Watkins Glen, that we were able to grant last year, over $1 million grant to Schuyler County based all on the water treatment plant. They were able to use the money being spent on that as a match for our grant. They can show a $1 million match. So it's possible to raise match in different ways. We're going to discuss it more in detail this afternoon, but I'm going to do everything I can do to make sure that grant stays here and is fully utilized.
I'm the one that was talking about the hop-on, hop-off transportation service.
Yes.
Delivering people, picking up people, hotels, wineries,
Right.
breweries, attractions, et cetera. If I were, because, for example, the bus may be taking people to like Havana Glen, the lovely gorge there to hike, I would basically be affecting their economy. So, you know, there's an impact there. So if I were to team up with the different townships, municipalities, et cetera, are there?
Absolutely
Ways.
opportunities, yes.
Okay.
We have the same situation in the Hudson River Valley where the villages are a little remote from the train system. So you have the train station there, and then the village main street is like up a hill and just far enough away that people don't want to, like, we've got all this market in New York City that can come up on a train, Metro North even, to the Westchester County area. But they can't get from the station to the commercial areas. So, you know, of course people talk about running a system such as you just described, a little bus system, to ferry people between that train and commercial areas so that, you know, you can attract folks up out of the city, including tourists and other people. It's too expensive, so no one's been able to manage that. But we did fund, our program did fund a trolley service feasibility study for the village of Dobbs Ferry. So they're a waterfront community, and we were looking at that issue to see if we could do this. They wanted to run a pilot. In the end, they themselves decided that they couldn't manage it, and they gave back the grant, unfortunately. But it does show that this is the type of thing that we can fund.
Okay, so that would just be for planning, is that correct?
That was planning and feasibility, just to figure it out, get the routes, you know, figure out all the costs and everything like that there. But they're also, they have an LWRP with us, so we were prepared to then fund the next phase and the next phase and actually help them do it. They just didn't take it that far. It was too much for the village to manage in that case.
I was just gonna say, Steuben County recently received extra funding from DOT. And they're not looking at tourism, moving folks around, but they were really surprised at the funding that DOT was willing to offer on any kind of transportation in our rural areas. So it's something to talk to the county about and see if there is some extra funding for, now again, not for a study, but it's, we're talking a lot about in Steuben County, not just how to move our residents around, but also how do we move tourists around when it comes to Cuba Lake and some of the other, you know, tourist destinations in Steuben County. So it's something to look into if there's funding available through DOT.
You have to work with your MPO, municipal planning organization that controls actually where that money, how the money is used.
Is that through the DOT?
No, that's through the county.
The county, okay. Who is it, is that?
It's usually sometimes one or two county transportation commissions. I'm not sure who it is here. I think it's two.
It falls under Chemung and Myra.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chemung County has the.
But we have the Schuyler Transit
Yeah, that's-
system, which is part of the larger MPO. So you could potentially talk with them, partner with them, or with them, you know.
I did talk to them.
Okay.
You could also talk with your TPA, Tourism Promotion.
Talk to them too.
You should talk with them as well, because
And
they
that's-
have resources there.
So the TPA, for everyone who doesn't know, that's the Chamber of Commerce is our local TPA.
All right, I'm gonna kind of wrap this session up a little bit. Thank you guys for this. We are a little bit off schedule, but I think it was a great conversation that we were having. And what I want to take right now is just a quick group discussion in your own tables of what you're working on, ideas you have. And what I want to get out of this is what you're working on, what concerns you have, what resources you think you need, and then we'll finish up with a 20-minute session right after that, just answering those questions that have come up. So if you just take a couple minutes to talk to your people at your table, it currently is, on my clock, 11:30, so let's say about 11:50 or so. We'll reconvene, we'll answer any questions that you may have, and anything else.
Would you like to?
I do.
We always wondered where he was.
Right. America's written up on the film festival. It's something
You guys for embracing this.
You've been through this. Nobody wants to give up.
Oh my God.
Once you lay the groundwork, everything's working.
We're gonna meet with Judy.
Fear drives pretty bad.
They're having a meeting today, but we can't stay generally 1 o'clock. Yeah.
Those decisions have greater. I'm gonna build it here, I'm gonna build my own here, I'm gonna build my own here, you got 3 times the cost, 3 times the taxes. There are places you need it
Right now, there is one in particular, but 2 that are getting all the grant money. Yeah, I would probably know because he's a builder. But his is for different. Yeah. So, we just figured maybe it's time. It sounds like a great time. The
I personally sounds great.
And they were saying,
If he wanted to talk about 5 years ago, what have done today, he's here today, he's
I haven't been in a few months, or a year now. Yeah. Be involved in
operating
What is it?
10 years.